Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mark with Spiguyver Backpacking. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm out here in my backyard, out on my patio, on the back porch back here, just kind of staying a little bit dry. The rain's starting to fall now. We've got a pretty good storm rolling in. And so while there were some things I wanted to do out in the backyard or even out in the woods, that's going to have to wait. Tonight it's going to have to be done in here. So figured I'd take this opportunity and address a few questions that I've gotten recently. So the first question that has come up several times is, how do I go about planning for a backpacking trip? So in general terms, I start out by figuring out, am I going by myself? Is it going to be a solo trip, or am I going to be going out with others? Let's take a look at the Foothills Trail. That trip, for example, I knew that I was going to be taking my son out, and then as I started to make plans and look at it, realized the timing might align with something that I could have Beekeeper and his son come up. So we started talking, came up with a good plan, and that's how we came up with the dates. So we knew a general time frame when we wanted to go. I knew Justin had the 17th, a half day, and then was off on the 20th. Yeah, the 20th. So I had a little bit of time to play with, a longer weekend there. So shot those dates down. Seemed like it would work for Beekeeper and his son, so that's what we started working with to plan. Now, as far as the location goes, at first we were looking at something up in Virginia, but with him being down in Florida, that was quite a drive, and so we decided to look a little bit further south. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the Foothills Trail. I knew that it had lots of cool waterfalls and other cool features on it, and it was something that I thought I wanted to get a chance to go out and explore. So, Foothills Trail made a lot of sense. They had a little bit more time off than we did. For us to be able to get up on Friday when he had a half day, being within 4 or 5 hours was something that we really needed to make sure we could do here. So that got us with the place. Then to figure out, well, we only had 3 to 3.5 days to do it. The trail's 76 miles, and I've got somebody going out for their first time backpacking trip. Probably not a wise idea to try and tackle the whole 76 miles in 3.5 days. So we sat down and we figured out, okay, where are good get on and get off points? Should we be going north? Should we be going south? And so I actually threw some ideas out there online, got some ideas from people, looked at some maps, tried to figure out some mileages, saw what other people were doing. You know, the internet is a great source of information. YouTube is awesome, and that's why I'm sharing these videos, is I think that I get so much from going on and watching videos that hopefully I can answer the questions that other people have, because a lot of times they're the same questions that I have, that I'm going out there looking for the answers to. So I'll go on. In this case, I watched some of Shug's videos. You know, he and Hickory did their through hike of the Foothills Trail. So that was a great piece for me to sit down and go, okay, these guys are doing about this type of mileage. Maybe back it off a little bit with my son. So we went between 10 and 13 miles a day, and it worked out really well. So the next was to actually sit down and look at maps. Online, the Foothills Trail, I think it's like Foothills Conservatory or something. I'll put the link on here so that you guys can check it out. They don't have a lot of really detailed maps. So I went online to look at maps, and actually one of my favorite sources for maps, you know, I do a lot of hiking on the Appalachian Trail, or I have in the past few years. This year, I really haven't gotten out there much. Since I've been filming, I haven't made it out there at all to make some videos, and it's actually kind of bumming me out. But I will try and get out there and get some. But one of the great resources that I use for doing the Appalachian Trail hikes is AntiGravity Gear. You know, I use their mule tape on my hammock suspension. They have a series of maps, and they come folded. They're tri-fold like this, and they're made of a slippery, waterproof material. And so on one side it has a map, not an extremely useful map, but on the other side it has elevation profile. And what's really nice about this, if you can take a good close look here, is it lists all of the water sources, all of the camps. And so what I did was I highlighted where we'd be starting, where we'd be finishing for each day, the distance between them. I kind of wrote it up on top so I could see the elevation, how much, you know, where we'd have climbs. Is it going to be at the beginning of the day, the end of the day? So you've got a nice elevation profile. And then it tells you, okay, so when we cross this stream, there's water there. There's another stream here with water. There's a bridge, a suspension bridge, and there's water available there. So it's really good, and it also outlines campsites. So this one tells you where you can camp. Now, on a lot of these trails, you can camp pretty much anywhere you want to set up. But when they have established camps, it's usually nice to hang out there because it's usually set up, especially if you're solo, you can pretty much set up anywhere you want, especially if you're doing the hammock thing. You don't have to have flat ground. You don't have to make sure it's not rocky. You can use underbrush. I mean, the possibilities are so vast while you're out there solo that you can do it pretty much anywhere. Now, when you've got 4 people and you're trying to set up in a relatively close area, having established campsites makes a big difference. So that's what we used this for. We found where we were going to camp, set up the days, figured out how long they were going to be, and used this. Also made sure that we checked this every night, planned out what we were doing the next day, how much water we had to leave camp with, based on how many water sources there were between where we were stopping. And so these are really great. They also can tell you things like there's a view. There's benches and a view at this place. And so it shows a little camera thing. So these AntiGravity Gear, here you go, AntiGravity Gear. Check them out. They've got these for all the sections of the Appalachian Trail. They've got them for the Pacific Crest Trail, the John Muir Trail. They've got them for Benton McKay, and I believe there's one other, and the Foothills Trail. And if there's something you want to see, let them know. Maybe they'll start looking into it and do some more maps that fit your needs. But what I do is I'll fold these up. You know, it's already triple folded. I'll fold it 3 more times so it's about this size, and just throw it into one of my hip belt pockets. Because it's waterproof, it wears really well, and I haven't had any problems doing that. And I've used those on all the sections of the Appalachian Trail we've done as well. So that's the gist of the planning as far as logistics. Then it's figuring out on Google Maps, dropping a pin. Mike, meet me here. We're going to drop our car off here, and then going that route. Using the maps, the research, maybe access points that are listed online through the foothillstrail.org website, and just kind of planning it out that way. Then you've got to get into your food planning, what type of gear you're using. So go on weather.com, take a look, see what the history is. You know, historically, what are the averages for the time of year you're going? You know, what has the weather been like in the past? As you start getting closer, take a look at the 5-day, 10-day forecast, even down into the hourly to see what it's doing overnight, how low it's getting, how long it's staying as cold as it gets. And I'll look at those things to kind of determine what type of gear I need to use. So on this one, we were anticipating it being warm. Then the weather about 10 days out started to change pretty drastically, and we went from 80 degree days down into 30, 40 degree days. And it started warming up, and we were back up into the 50s and 60s for our trip, but we were getting 30 degree nights. So the 40 and 50 degree quilts that I was going to take weren't going to work out. So it's good to look at that ahead of time, know what you need. And in addition to that, when it's colder, you need more calories. So I made sure that we changed up what we were doing, and we brought stuff to, again, since it was Justin's first trip, I wanted to make sure he was comfortable, having a good time, enjoying it, so we brought stuff to dry bake every single morning of the trip. So had to bring extra. I brought 2 stoves with me, one for just boiling, one for doing dry baking. I brought all the cooking stuff to do the dry baking, an extra pot/mug. It's the Tokes 450 with a lid that I brought for Justin to use, and I could also cook on that. So while I had stuff dry baking, I could cook up a cup of coffee or a cup of hot chocolate for Justin. Because he and I have different tastes in food, I brought stuff that I liked, and then we experimented with stuff that he thought he would like, and it turns out it worked out really well. So I went with things that I thought he was going to like for dinner. So we tried the beef stroganoff, which turned out he loved, and then the chicken fettuccine alfredo, which is something that Ryan absolutely has loved. We got some of that, and he liked it, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't something he would really jump up and down for, which the beef stroganoff was. And then for lunches, we just kind of did the bars, different things throughout the day, you know, different things to kind of keep it different all the time. And so there was a variety. So if you wanted something sweet, there was something sweet. If you wanted something salty, there was something salty. I like to bring like pepperoni sticks, like a full pepperoni, and cut it up into, you know, thirds or whatever, or a you know, a summer sausage, cut that in half and use that as a lunch. So those are the types of things that we did. Now, I've gotten another question several times, which is, what did I do different? What did I take differently on this trip, taking my kids out? So on the trips that I do take my kids, what do I do differently than the ones that I go out solo? And really it comes down to what I'm carrying. I carry a whole lot more when I'm going out with my kids than I do when I'm going solo. You know, my first aid kit gets beefed up a little bit. I had to bring, because Justin won't take pills, I had to bring the children's liquid Tylenol or ibuprofen. So those are things to consider. You know, if you've got a kid that won't swallow a pill, you're going to have to carry that type of medication with you. Then I brought, you know, I carried a lot of his gear just to keep his load down, keep it comfortable for him, keep it safe on his knees and feet. He doesn't have dedicated hiking or trail running shoes, so he was just using what he has to play around in the backyard with. So I wanted to keep the loads light for him, keep it fun, keep it comfortable, and so I carried a lot more than I normally do. And so rather than trying to go with the Appalachian Ultralight carbon fiber super ultralight backpack, I went with my tried and trusted ULA CDT. Has a little bit more volume to it and can fit a few more things in it. So I went with that. Additionally, I packed a sock for him, the sock for the hammock, the winter sock from Dutchwear Gear. I also had a spare. I brought the Costco down throw, and if you listen to the Hang Your Own Hang podcast, if you listen to the Hang Your Own Hang podcast, you heard that I was talking about that, how I brought it along to supplement his underquilt. Didn't need it. He was warm enough with the sock on there that I then let Beekeeper use it, and so then he was able to stay warm on the coldest nights we had out there. Then there were things like cards, deck of cards. Justin likes to play with cards, so I brought a deck of cards. Didn't really use it much. Our time at camp was later in the afternoon, consisted of getting set up, getting dinner, hanging out, chit-chatting a little bit, talking, and then kind of going to bed early because we were all pretty worn out. Other things I brought, I always bring some sort of light that can kind of stay on throughout the night. So for Justin, it was the Lucy Emerge light. It's the solar-powered one that you blow up. I do have a complaint about that one, and I'll probably pull that one out and show, maybe do a little mini review on it and show you guys what it is I don't like about it. But it works. I mean, it works pretty well as long as the light is getting sun. Put it on the outside of your backpack while you're hiking all day. It's getting some sun. Then when you get in camp, if you still have any direct sun, put it in the direct sun and it'll fully charge it up. So those are some things that I like to bring. If I'm bringing either Dylan or Ryan, I usually will bring the party lights. I've got the multicolored Dutchwear party lights. Get them off of his website. I think they were pretty cheap. And I'll string them along the ridge line of the tarp, or of the hammock. And that provides a nice light, and it's kind of cool, kind of fun thing for them. But other than that, other than cook gear, bringing a little bit of extra cook gear, bringing a second stove, which we've already talked about, those are really the only differences other than having someone else with me and being responsible for them. I carry the food for both of us. I'll take all the food he needs for the day, like his snacks and his lunch, put that in the top lid, the brain of his backpack, and let him carry that. But the rest of it remains with me. So I think that answers the two questions that I've really been getting a lot lately as to planning and how things differ when I'm out with my sons. So guys, that's what I've got going on. That's what's going on here. I think I answered the questions you guys wanted to hear. If there's more, let me know. I definitely don't mind answering questions. there's a lot going on. I've got a lot of gear coming in that I'm going to be reviewing. I've got 2 awesome quilts coming in. One from Underground Quilts. I've got a 20 degree 850 fill power 7/8 underquilt, Zeppelin underquilt that's going to be coming in. And it isn't in production yet. I ordered it a couple weeks ago, so when that comes in, I'll have that one to review, and it kind of rounds out my underquilt selection so that I've got a little bit more variability throughout, and when I take my kids, I've got something still cold weather that can get them out there. Then I have, to match my 50 degree super lightweight ghost pepper top quilt that I got from Loco Libre, I've got an underquilt, a habanero coming in, and that one's going to be the Operator series as well, super lightweight, and that's going to be part of that collaboration video that I'm going to be putting together with the other YouTubers, so look for that one. Hopefully it comes in time. If not, I've got some other lightweight stuff that'll be implemented in there, but I'm hoping that it'll be in so that I can get that one done with that. Got some other gear coming. I recently, I've been using the Sawyer Mini, and I've had no problems with it, but I've had so many people ask me why I'm not using the Sawyer Squeeze that I went ahead and bought a Sawyer Squeeze so that I can do a good comparison of the two and let you guys know my thoughts on the two. I kind of hinted on it today in the Hang Your Own Hang podcast. When I'm stopping to get drinks and to filter water, it's a good time to relax and let the legs kind of wind down for a few minutes. So I'm not too worried about the time that it takes. I always have a smart water bottle with me so that I can go ahead and back flush if I need to. So that hasn't been a problem. But I now have the Squeeze as well that we can try. The wind is really picking up. The lightning's starting to really flash out here. So we're going to have to bring this to a close. I do have another piece of gear coming. I've got a new headlamp, a new Petzl with the core. Went ahead and pre-ordered it since I had my dividend check coming in from REI. I went ahead and used that on that, and it is really starting to pick up out here. I don't know if you guys are catching any of the lightning or the thunder, but I need to wrap this up before I start getting wet because that wind is whipping enough. It's just going to come right through here. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching what I do. Keep the comments coming. I'm starting to get wet. I'll see you guys down the trail. Thanks.